Good morning. Ooh, let's do it again. Good morning. Ooh, awesome. I am Andrew Burrill. I am a third-year drama major at the University of Virginia, and I am here today to speak to you about the power of the performing arts and the ability that it has to really bring you peace in life in a lot of different situations that you may be facing. So let's start in the beginning of time. There were cave people. One of the most profound cave people of the theater was named Og. So Og led a great life. He was good. He had everything set. And then one day, some things started happening in the neighborhood of caves. There started running out of dinosaurs. There were not a lot of animals for everyone to eat. So Og was facing a lot of issues. He was like, I don't know if I can supply food for my family. If I can't do that, then I'm going to lose the respect of them. I'm going to lose the admiration of my community. I'm going to lose a lot of things that I need in life. So Og kept going out. Every day he would go out and go out and go out for longer and longer and longer, and he couldn't find anything. One day, it got to the point where he said, okay, I'm going to go out again, and I will find something today. He went and he found a dinosaur, and he saw this dinosaur, and he took it down. He killed the dinosaur. So he brought the dinosaur back to the cave, and the entire community was in shock. They were like, this is great. This is going to feed everyone. This is amazing. Tonight we have to have a giant fire. We have to have a celebration. It has to be wonderful. You have to tell us everything. So this fire happens, starts rising, the party starts occurring, and everyone's like, Og, tell us how it happened. Like, how did you have this amazing feat? What was it about? So Og takes the skin from the animal, and he's like, I will now tell you how I slayed the dinosaur. And that is where the storytelling, and that is where the dedication and the vibrance from everything in his past came to fruition into that moment. So now I'm going to tell you how in my life I've kind of had some similar things happen. When I was in high school, it was 3 or 4 years of just a series of unfortunate events. I had my house burned down. Following that, I had my brother commit suicide. He was bullied in high school from autism and Asperger's syndrome. And then my mother passed away, and it just was all sequential. And I kind of felt like Og in that moment. I kept going out, and I was like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna do great. And then it would always go back to something else. Everything always had another issue with it. And I found myself it's kind of embarrassing, but one day I was outside of my theater teacher's classroom, and I was crying my eyes out because I was also 350 pounds. And my theater teacher said, oh, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And I was like, life. It's just terrible today. I don't have it. I can't go on. And she was like, you're so dramatic. And I was like, I never related that before, but I started taking the classes, and I felt myself being able to relate to characters that had been going through the same, worse, different, and being able to go on a cathartic journey and really finding myself in the place of other people who were not that different from myself. So as I continued on through high school, I noticed that was a calling, and that every time I shared one of these experiences with an audience, they were able to relate. They were able to see that message or see that same experience in themselves and say, I'm not alone, I'm not different. There are other people that go through this in the world. So following that, I went to Los Angeles and studied at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and I really honed my acting abilities, and I went out, started performing, and then another big catastrophe happened. And I said, I need to come back to Charlottesville because this is where I'm from, and I need to find my community again, because that same community is the one that praised when I did slay that dinosaur, and it was validation. And I came back, and I noticed everything at University of Virginia, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of really intelligent people. I could say, what is the meaning of this lampshade in the most beautiful Morven farm? And people would submit 50-page essays. But I would say, how does that make you feel? And they're like, but that's not important. That's not important. That doesn't, we'll set that aside. And I said, no, that's very, very important. So one day, I got on Facebook, as many people did in the United States of America, and I saw a Rolling Stone article that was released. And I said, oh, wow. And I have lots of friends that were personally affected from sexual misconduct, assault. And I had lots of friends calling me like, Andrew, I'm thinking about taking a semester off. I just can't handle this right now. And, you know, there's a lot of great things at UVA to like help with survivors of this, but there's no real emotional experience for them. So I said, let's act it out. Let's have an experience. So we brought together multiple survivors of sexual misconduct and assault, and they put together a play based off their voices, just their experiences. It was all devised from within them. And they went and they performed it, and it was beautiful. They did a wonderful job. And you would be surprised at how many people afterwards in the audience came and they started speaking about how I thought I was alone. I thought no one else felt that. I thought that my life was isolated. I felt that that was going to go to the grave with me. And people, I have never seen more tears, tears of joy, tears of relief. And I say, if that can happen then, that can happen in all aspects of life. That can happen in every theater of life, whether it be a classroom, whether it be a workplace. But it hasn't always been that way. This freedom that we have within the theater has not always been here. I think back to the times of Shakespearean theater in England, and that is when I think one of the most kind of changing times occurred within the patronage of theater. So when theater first originated, like throughout the times of the Renaissance, everything before the Renaissance, it was going to be a moment where you did theater for you. Like if I was going through something, like I would act it out, I would write about it, I would draw a painting. And artists were held very high in their society because artists were known to decipher what humanity was. It was a direct reflection of humanity. And until economic hardships were someone along the lines, I'm not sure who it was, hopefully we will find them, but they said, oh, let's sacrifice the art. You know, we have to put more money into the bullets and the swords and the ships and all of the things like this to go conquer. We don't have to draw, we don't have to act, we don't have to write. That's not necessary. So this, in my opinion, is when society started degrading moral character. The patronage of the art is when people said, oh, okay, I'll write for King George over there. Let's write a play about, you know, political anarchy and focus it on this party. You know, let's do a play that focuses on this. So it's, you know, in a way, it's inauthentic theater. It's faux theater. And what is faux theater but a false representation of society? So nowadays, when we look at the theater that's being produced, I think of, you know, Jersey Shore. I think of Honey Boo Boo Child. I think of many TV shows that are so popular, like millions, 40, 50 million people watch it. They're like breaking new records. And then when you talk to people and you say, wow, did you see last night's episode of Jersey Shore? That's, oh my God, we need to do something in our society about that. But here's my issue, is that same person, when you tell them, oh, I'm going to study drama in college, it's that moment that you look in their eyes and a film crosses it. And it's like, oh, drama. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to wait tables? Grad school, so you're going to teach. Oh, okay, so you're not going to do. And the thing is, they never say it because you never want to say it. But you always know because it's in the eyes. It's always in the eyes. So the thing is, my question, I guess, to society is, it's a catch-22. How do we form good media? How do we form good television shows when you get the same kind of judgment for trying to study quality aesthetic performance? People dedicate their lives to engineering. When you say, oh, I'm in the comm school, you don't say, oh, what are you going to do with that? Because we know they're going to go do commerce, you know? That's what you do with a comm school degree. When you do drama, you go out and you affect people in every way. And everyone is a drama major. I was talking to someone recently, and they said, oh, I could never act. I could never do what you do. it's so intimidating to me because I'm not an actor. I'm not. And I said, no, but you are. Because you taking breath and you saying that right now is performance. And your performance is inspiring change. You may not think that your performance, your life is a performance, but even Shakespeare said all the world is a stage. And he wasn't saying that to be verbose. He wasn't saying that to like sound profound. He was saying that because if we look at society that way, like our actions are always on view for everyone around us, then it's gonna make ourselves question the abilities that we have and push them forward and perpetuate further. Right here, as you see on this picture, I was 350 pounds. I never thought that I would be anything. I was made fun of throughout high school. I had no friends, and it was not until the actions and the performances of others that I realized that I could defy my current status, that I could have transitioned into something bigger. I think about 85% of youth feel better about themselves and like to help others more because theater education does promote respect for diversity and self-identity. Because as I said earlier, theater is a reflection of society. But when you say society, what is that? That's such a vague term. People always say, well, I think all of society feels this way. That's a farce. That's very farcical. Because the thing is, I could feel very differently than someone sitting in the third row right now about whether or not we like Chipotle. Like, do you like guac? Do you not like guac? I like guac. You know, so you can't say all of society loves Chipotle because that's not true. But the thing is, all of society is composed of multiple people. And with that being a reflection, that is diversity. So if you have theater in the continent of Africa, the continent of Asia, if you have a specific dance that is a communication to your deity and come in and say, oh, we are about to, you know, you should understand our perspective. Look at their art. Look at their art, look at what their values are because it will always be centered in the art. 74% of youth who participate in arts and or theater-based education programs more easily find themselves graduating from high school because theater education promotes critical thinking. The first day of my theater class, I was in total shock because the theater teacher was very critical, and I would have never expected that. I was extremely big, and she said, Andrew, you know, before you get a lead role, you gotta lose some weight. Like, you gotta get out there and hit the track because that's not healthy, and no one wants to see the big people on the stage. And I had never cried more in my entire life than in that moment. And I walked outside and I said to myself, I have to make a change. And if she would not have been critical of me, then I would not have been able to identify and critically like self-evaluate myself in the future. Performing arts employment has collapsed over a very long amount of time back since, as you can see, in August 2006, it was at a great high. As of August 2011, it has taken a huge decline. And with the performing arts employment, you know, in France, people are able to go, I think it's, you work a year as an artist, and then you have like 6 months off, and the government just like pays. And then you have that 6 months to rehabilitate your art, to look at what society is doing, form new projects. I think that one of the best cures for anything that's going on in one's life is the psychodrama therapy. So that's a fancy word for like getting active and acting. Thomas Jefferson said, acting will delineate and define you. People always say, what can I do to fix change? What can I do to make a change in society? People always use that very vague term. I say, go out and do something. Give out poems to people on a bad day. Like, tell someone you like their hair, identify with them, tell them something that you appreciate about them, because that in itself is action, and you never know if they need to hear it that day. So, the reasons why artists don't want to be artists: higher, steadier pay in other fields, artistic work not available, change in interest, debt, lack of access to networks, family-related issues, current locations not conducive, lack of social support. You are where the social support comes in at. If we can even change 8 to 9%, that's one step closer to affecting greater change on a higher level. I would say my challenge to you is, When someone comes up to you and says, oh, I study drama, I study the arts, realize that in America, the #1 export is that of the entertainment industry. Last year, we had $6 billion in tax returns alone. When we say, oh, there's no job opportunities in arts, that is what our nation is known for around the world. You say the name Beyonce in almost any nation, and they will know. You sing one of our most famous or not Beatles, because that's not America, but sing Michael Jackson. Ooh, say Michael Jackson's name in India, they will know. You know? I just love art, and I challenge you to go out and spread your love of whatever it is to other people, because that is art. Acting will delineate and define you. Thank you.